It was a really big day in the stock market today. We're going to cover the S&P 500, where I think it's going, and then we're going to cover Tesla. And stick around at the end of this video because there's something really interesting both with Tesla and the positions that I have open right now. We're going to cover those at the end. But first, I just want to start with the S&P 500. If we go into the Heikin-Ashi candles, now right now on the S&P 500, we have a doji candle, and that's just because there's a little bit of a lag, so you have to keep that in mind, and that's why it's always important to also compare it with the actual candles. This was an impulsive move to the downside, so that's one good check. Okay, it's bouncing off of a long trend line. That's another good check for short. The TSLA is starting to turn back to the downside, as well as the RSI. A little early, but you can count that as a 3. We are still in a blue cloud for the Bjorgum cloud, as well as above the green 50-day moving average. So what we could see is just a little bit of a bounce or a little bit of a sideways action before a fall. However, with that said, this is a pretty impulsive move that we have right here. That is an impulsive day. So I could also see this just going straight back down to the target would be like 375-ish before we get a bounce. So that's where I'm looking at with the S&P 500. Now, if we bring up Tesla, we covered Tesla about a week or so ago, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that when we saw Tesla just free falling, I think we talked about it about here. We said this is not a good time, in my opinion, as far as a trader. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Just my opinion, that Tesla was in a free fall and it was going down. I didn't enter shorts on Tesla at that time because I didn't know where this bounce was going to go. However, we got that bounce and then we got a rejection. Now, you can bring up any sort of moving average to make an argument that there was a bounce. At least on the 50, there wasn't a bounce. But nonetheless, there is still a little bit of a rejection. And if you bring up the Heikin-Ashi candles, you haven't yet seen it. So it is a little early. There's a blue cloud forming here. The Bjorgum cloud is still blue. The TSI is still turning up. So as far as the Heikin-Ashi candles, it's still a little early to short, but given where the S&P 500 is, and that's why it's always important to look at the overall indices to see where things are going, I believe this is going to be going lower. So with this rejection right here, I entered a small position to go short. I put a stop loss. I think it was about a 5% stop loss. And then I'm just going to let it ride to the downside. And when I close that position, long term, I'm looking for Tesla long term, but it's just not at that point right now. I did mention about $50 or $60 ranges where I would like to buy and hold for long term, but right now I'm just trading in the short position. So where are we looking as far as resistance and support on Tesla? Because that is really what we want to know. Well, we have this guy right about here, and now we have this guy right about here. So we're looking at this wedge. If it were to bounce, we're looking at it to come down to about, maybe the $100 level before we get a bounce. That's just what I'm looking for. Things can always change. Okay, so we talked earlier how you have these wide trend channels and it can get a little funny on how you're supposed to predict or how you're supposed to look at that in terms of where things are going, because everything sort of seems like it's in the middle of the channel. So if you narrow it down right here, you have a little bit better accurate indication of where things are going. So I think that's interesting because this could fall through given the fact of where the S&P 500 is. So that's sort of my little bonus lesson for you today is indicators might be telling you one thing on a particular stock, but if you look at the overall indices, it might actually be telling you something else, and maybe you can get a little bit of an edge and get into a short or a long position earlier than what the indicators would otherwise suggest. Okay, so the positions I have open right now, I have a short on the S&P 500 as far as SQQQ, so I am actually slightly in the red still, about 1%, because I did enter that a little early. I felt okay entering it a little early because we were right about at this resistance level. So I got most of my losses back on that, and now we're looking to go green on that. I opened a short on Carvana because of all of the hype around Carvana, given where the S&P 500 is, given the fact that hype stocks have a tendency to plummet when the market starts to go down. Now, it is a hard to borrow stock, so that's not necessarily really good to go short on. It's a small position. I'm not really playing it too seriously. I have a short position on TQQ just to take advantage of that triple leverage. All right, so that's all I got for you guys today. I love making content for you. We're up to 186 subscribers, growing every single day. I'm also working on some great trading basic videos for you, so I hope to have that out soon. I appreciate all the likes, subscriptions. Hit the notification bell if you do watch my channel. Hit the like button and comment. It really, really helps out the algorithm. Did not realize that until I started a YouTube channel, but it makes a huge difference. So please hit that like button down below, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.